Hello, good morning. This is the first lecture in a series that are associated with the course Advanced Clinical Social Work Practice. Today I'm going to be talking about the Jamaican child welfare system and how it interfaces with the mental health system in terms of the problems and the solutions that we as social work practitioners need to be aware of. First of all, the Jamaican child welfare system, as you know, was developed mm, basically as an offshoot of the UK system back in the day from the colonial period, and it is designed with a series of children's homes. It is designed, I should say, as a mechanism which uses institutions to deal with the problem of children who need care and protection, children who are in trouble, as in the correctional system, and you will see the also the issue of children who are deemed to be uncontrollable by their parents and who need intervention. Basically, these children are children and adolescents with emotional and behavioral problems, and the way in which the system was designed initially by the colonial masters was to put these children in institutions. In the book Who Will Save Our Children, the first chapter, there is a quote by T.S. Simon, who in 1943 was complaining from that time that the Caribbean tends to use institutions as the major mode of intervention for dealing with its social problems. And this has been our problem from the beginning of time. The problem that we have as contemporary and modern social work practitioners, however, is that we must understand that that is a very aged and inefficient way of caring for children with emotional and behavioral problems. And the rest of the world, namely the first world, has moved on and has moved into dealing with the root causes of the problems why the children are going in institutions. In other words, they are more focused on preventive work, family reunification once there's a problem, working on adoption and putting the resources into adoption and foster care. That is the way that modern child welfare systems operate. However, most of us in the Caribbean, most of the practitioners in the Caribbean have to contend with the fact that we have these aging children's homes which are not properly outfitted to provide um, therapeutic services, but they rather act as custodial agencies or custodial facilities which do not have adequate programs, resources in the form of human and material for really doing intervention in terms of clinical therapeutic work. They also do not provide the kind of support services needed in the form of educational services, in the form of assessment services, ongoing assessment, in the form of referrals for those children who, after assessment, they may then need long-term care. And we do not provide even educational services for children who need remedial work or children who need to do their CXCs or their GSAT. And so children who are abused, for example, who come into the system, are not dealt with adequately. This leads me to the issue of why do children come into the child welfare system? As shown in chapter 1 of the Who Will Save Our Children, which is um, the reading that is assigned for this module, we will see that children who come into the Jamaican child welfare system and other systems in the Caribbean tend to come because of a number, maybe four big factors. One, they're deemed to be uncontrollable. Two, they're in need of care and protection, and this would include children who are abused and neglected. We're talking about children who are abandoned in hospitals, that is physical neglect. Then you have children who are neglected because their parents have left them, abandoned them through um, not just hospitals in the previous case, but at the doorstep of the past or the community person. But children and adolescents can also be abandoned by migration. parents who are drug courier moms, or parents who have gone to foreign to look a better life and just leave the children. So abandonment can take various forms. We also have different kinds of child abuse, which include sexual abuse. You know what that is? Any attempt for an adult to achieve sexual gratification from um, molesting a child or um, having any form of sexual contact with a child who is 0 to 17 years old. Then you have children who are physically abused, children who are beaten and with cord or wire or sticks or stones or whatever. Babies who are hung upside down, babies who are shaken, all of these categories um, are children within child abuse and neglect scenario. The other groups of children who come into care are children who are deemed to be in need of care and protection because their parents might be mentally unstable, their parents might be unable to care for them as a result of poverty or as a result of willfully not wanting to take care of them. For example, mother might have baby father 1, baby father 2, and on baby father 3, baby father 2 has left her, and baby father 3 is unwilling to look after the children who were from baby father 2. And so those children are often neglected, and those children are usually latency age boys between the ages of 8 to 12, as well as adolescent boys between the ages of 12 to 15. One of the cases we'll be looking at as a result of this lecture is a case of a 15-year-old who is in that situation as we speak. Okay, so those are your big groups: your child abuse and neglect, which includes abandonment, your children who are uncontrollable, your children who are who have chronic illnesses, who may be referred from hospital, and the parent is frustrated and feel that they can't take care of them, and because the resources in the society are not as efficient as they should be across the country. You may have pockets of the country where, because a child is disabled, those children are not being cared for properly, and the state steps in lieu of a parent and attempts to provide adequate care for these children. Now, over the years, the whole idea of the institution was that it was supposed to take care of these children, but the idea behind the taking care of the children was to provide long-term care. So what happened with the child welfare systems that we have is that those institutions that were set up to care for the children on a temporary basis, that those are the places of safety as we know it, which the whole notion of a place of safety is a temporary place where the child will go immediately, be assessed, and then move on to a children's home or a correctional facility, or the child is supposed to be returned home. The child could also be adopted, or the child could be put into foster care. The point I make in the article, in the chapter on the Jamaican child welfare system, in chapter 1 of Who Will Save Our Children, is that these children are in a lot of difficulty because the system does not work to allow the child to move from the temporary place of safety into the children's homes. And so one of the big problems that clinical social workers are going to have to deal with are the repercussions from a system, a macro system problem or fallout, in that those places of safety are overcrowded. Children receive no proper psychosocial assessments. Social workers at the agency assigned to look after these children are overworked and overburdened, and will tell us that they have 400 cases to deal with, that kind of thing. And you don't have a structured plan in terms of a treatment plan of what must be done to the children. Children just stay there until they go to court, and that can take up to 2 years, when those places of safety were designed to have the children for 3 months. So we have these overcrowded places of safety, and what happens is that the children's homes that are the second tier of the care for the children, that were designed to provide more long-term care, are packed to the brim as well. namely because the children are not coming out as fast as they were designed to come out. The idea was that the places of safety were supposed to be 3 months periods of time. You do your assessment, the children moves into the children's home, and the children, um, say in a North American children's home, when they had children's homes, were then um, assessed quickly. There was intervention done, there was treatment done with the mother and the child. And so, after that period of time, say a short period of time, the parenting education would take place, the home would be prepared, and the child goes back into the home. This would create a constant flow of children going into and out of these institutions. That has not happened in the Caribbean. And so we have um, a situation where the judges in the judicial system will or give the child what is called a fit person order, where the government is deemed to be the fit person to take care of the child. However, these fit person orders are often mandated to last for until the child is 18. So the child sits in a children's home for 18 years, versus in the UK, where fit person orders are given for shorter periods of time. Social workers are made to go into the home, make sure that the parenting capabilities are improved through welfare benefits in the form of short-term or long-term um, subsistence grants, etc., being given to the family. The family is made to function again, and you take that child out of the system, so you make space for another child from the children's home, or going into another space in the children's home. So you see, it's supposed to be a dynamic, fluid process, and we have a stagnant one, and that is what creates a problem for our children, and also for the ability of the clinical social worker to do the things they are supposed to be doing in the child development agencies. And so we're going to stop here, and we are going to discuss this issue in terms of what can be done.